Well, here it is. The first 2010s Pixar film and the final film of classic Pixar's roster, Toy Story 3. You know, considering that it's been 11 years since the last movie, it's crazy to me how well they pulled this one off. Now, going into this rewatch was a bit of a toughie. None of the film was poor or anything, god no. This film is still great. But it's just that my DVD for Toy Story 3 that I've owned since 2010 is completely f***ed. What I mean is that in the scene where Woody meets the talking telephone, it jumps and, to an extent, crashes. So I had no choice but to download the footage that I used for this movie for my videos onto my laptop, so that I could watch it from there. And it was a pain, let me tell ya. I mean, do you know what it's like waiting for this thing to download because it's such a big file? Yeah, I know you feel my pain on that. But even with that, this movie is still great. And it's probably the most dire the series has ever been at this point. Like with the second movie, I loved the opening. In Lego Lover's words, it sets the scope for what this movie is going to offer for us. And I love all of the callbacks to the first movie. Like Slinky being the force field dog, and Rex being the one who eats force field dogs, in Woody's words. And even the second movie gets mentioned with Evil Dr. Porkchop! Yeah, what Buzz said. And even the death by Monkey's Barrel. Random side note, by the way, but I always find it funny how the train in the opening scene's number is 95. Which, not only is that a reference to the year when the first movie came out, but it's also a reference to McQueen, whose number is also 95. Heck, we even get a reference to McQueen for a toy when the Butterfly Room in Sunnyside is established. But those were not just references to cars. Little did we know that those would be foreshadowing a certain film we'll get to very soon. But let's not worry about that yet. After that though, we get a montage of Andy playing with his toys, set to You've Got a Friend in Me. Though it is kind of daunting when the plays, and then it goes to black. But anyways, we shoot forward to present day, where the toys are striving to play with Andy one last time before he heads off for college. The plans don't go well, of course, so they have no choice but to go into the attic. But even that doesn't end up well, as the toys think that Andy is dumping them when he was only putting them in the attic. Even Woody sees all this through his eyes, but the others don't believe him, which I get. They were stuck in that trash bag not knowing what Andy was actually doing. So they end up going to Sunnyside, which at first seems all warm and fuzzy and friendly, and a perfect place for the toys to be. But since Woody ended up here, he still believes that Andy still wants them, and that they have to be there for him, which results in Woody leaving them. This is such a sad scene, man. Woody does manage to escape, but ends up with Bonnie by accident, which, you know what, I'd say for the better, because you'll see why later on in the film. But all the while, the others are getting absolutely beaten up and played with roughly by the kids in the Caterpillar Room. This scene is so brutal to watch. And you really feel bad for the others through their eyes. Like Jesse's hair being dipped in paint, Rex's tail being broken off, Ham getting covered in whatever's being sprinkled onto him. Yeesh. Oh, and there's another Cars reference with that kid's t-shirt. But then, once Buzz goes to talk to Lotso, this film's villain by the way, and I'll get to that in a moment, we then discover that Sunnyside is not what it seems. Buzz gets captured, and is reverted back to his original factory settings. He captures his friends as he sees them as minions. Seeing Buzz all evil while in demo mode is just so sad. But at the same time, him thinking he's a real space ranger is just something that Tim Allen gets to have a lot of fun with. And you can really tell that from the voice performance. But upon learning that Sunshine is not what it seems, Woody makes it back to rescue his friends, and he forms some sort of rescue mission to get out. All with funny antics, like getting rid of the monkey as the phone told to Woody, Ken showing Barbie his collection, Potato Head becoming a tortilla, and the funniest of all,
prison riot!
this scene has me laughing every time. And of course, Spanish Buzz, which is one of the most cute and charming scenes I have ever seen to come out of Pixar so far. But what follows that? Oh boy. After a conversation with Lotso, to which he rages and reveals his true colors to everyone about what he thinks they are, we get what is probably the most intense sequence out of any of the Toy Story films so far. The garbage dump sequence. The toys are stuck in the dump, which makes it seem like, yeah, it's bad. But then it goes from bad to worse when they then have to try and go over a shredder grabbing some sort of metal and also saving Lotso. But then facing the incinerator. Which, you cannot talk about this movie without bringing up this very sequence. Nearly everyone who has seen this movie has shedded a tear at this bit, when the toys hold hands and close their eyes as they accept their fate. And you know what? On rewatch, I almost did too. It's just one of those scenes where you really feel sorry that this is how the toys' journey ends. After all they've been through and trying to get back to Andy, this is how it all ends. With them getting burnt alive. But just as when all things are over, the aliens come to the rescue with them controlling the dump's claw. A very satisfying moment for them. You feel all the more relieved when the toys are safe. The toys do make it back to Andy, but Woody eventually convinces him for a note to donate them all to Bonnie, who had taken Woody earlier on in the film. Andy giving Bonnie all of his toys paired with the beautiful music really makes this scene all the more emotional and wholesome. And seeing Andy playing with his toys one last time before he heads up to college is just so sweet. And that's the beauty of this story in general. Going through so much and realizing that you have to move on and start a new life with a new owner. Well, enough of the story. Let's now get on to other things. Because goddammit, I need to talk about this. The animation here is the best it has ever been in the Toy Story series at this point. The lighting and scope of everything is just so polished. The humans don't look uncanny at all, and a lot of the atmospheres have some really nice lighting. All of the scenes at nighttime and Sunnyside are really well lit, makes it all the more very much like a Prison Break type of story. And all the scenes of the dump are really well done, especially in the incinerator. And Lotso made for a pretty damn great villain in this film. He may just be the best villain this franchise has to offer at this point. His backstory is so sad and dark, because when we first meet him, he seems all kind and gentle and friendly. But we learn that upon seeing his dark behavior, it's because he, along with Big Baby and Chuckles, were dumped and replaced by their owner, Daisy, with new versions of themselves. This is one of the most gripping backstories I've ever seen. Lotso being the way he is just because of what happened to him and Big Baby. And the music is thoroughly tied with the second movie in terms of the best score in this franchise. There are so many wonderful pieces here, like the opening music, the music with the talking telephone explains what happens when that bastard monkey strikes, the ending piece, and especially the music in the incinerator. This may just be the best piece of music in this franchise, because holy shit, The way how this music was put in and how it makes this very scene so fucking emotional is phenomenal. Randy Newman really outdid himself with the music this time. Some of his best work for Pixar so far, without a doubt. Now, a friend of mine who's also a family member of ours once said to me that Toy Story is just one of those franchises that is just consistently good throughout. And you know what? So far, knock on wood, it's actually going that way so far. Toy Story 3 is great. And it's one of the most gripping movies I've ever seen. And you know what? It does the concept of the prison break story way better than what Journey Beyond Sodor would do later on. Because that movie, while still good, did have a half-baked ending at the end where they just forgive the bad guys. But we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I have had a kerfuffle when trying to watch this movie in full for this review. But after rewatching this film in full, it's still a great time. But I think I'm gonna have to give the edge to the second movie by a smidge. But it's definitely not a decline, God no. As the story here is still just as strong as the previous two movies. And I can see why this is a movie that is well beloved. A great way to end off Pixar's classic library. Well, tomorrow, you lots, is gonna be something, alright. As we are now stepping into what many would consider to be the modern films. And that all starts with a movie that has gone a pretty bad track record by many. Cars 2. Will this movie be as bad as people say it is? Or will I be one of the few people who still likes this movie? Well, find out tomorrow to see what I think of this godforsaken movie.